Men, I want to address one of the most painful, confusing, and frankly health-destroying problems many good men face in their long-term relationships: the mystery of the missing desire. You remember the early days, right? The passion, the urgency, the sheer volume of intimacy. You felt wanted, affirmed, and alive. Then the ring went on, the commitment was made, and slowly, inexplicably, the enthusiasm started to dwindle. Now, sex is infrequent, ritualized, or sometimes non-existent. You're left scratching your head, thinking, did I change? Am I less attractive? Was the connection I felt a lie? The confusion is so profound because to a good man, commitment means more connection, not less. And yet, many of you are living with what feels like a spouse who views intimacy as a transactional tool, a means to an end that was achieved the day you said, I do. I'm talking about what I call the intimacy switch. The secret many women don't want revealed is that they have the internal capacity to choose when that switch is on and when it's off. We need to understand this dynamic, not to blame, but to empower you. Because the pain of feeling used, the confusion of the sudden withdrawal, and the resulting blow to your confidence can seriously damage your health. Stick with me. I've seen this pattern for 5 years, and the path out of this emotional trap is through self-respect and radical self-focus. First, a quick request. If this topic hits home, if you're ready to face this truth and reclaim your power, please hit the like button. Tell me in the comments, how long have you been married? Your shared experiences matter. And please subscribe to join a community dedicated to men's lasting vitality. The most damaging myth here is that the withdrawal of intimacy is a direct, proportionate result of your current actions. The myth says, if you just romance her more, talk more, do more chores, the switch will flip back on. The heartbreaking truth, which many men fail to grasp, is that the switch being on at the beginning was often tied to an objective: securing commitment, family, or financial stability. And once that objective was secured, the switch was toggled off because the functional need for that high-level engagement had ended. My mentor used to share a painful analogy: the penny jar. If you put a penny in a jar for every time you had sex before marriage and took a penny out for every time after marriage, the jar would almost never empty. The simple reason? The incentive changed. Before marriage, she was choosing you, building connection, proving compatibility. Her focus was on creating attraction. The switch was on, and sex was enjoyable, frequent, and passionate. After marriage. Once the commitment is secured, the woman who lacks internal fulfillment often unconsciously shifts her focus. The need for intimacy is replaced by the focus on the domestic, the financial, and the emotional support. The passion drops because the primary incentive is gone, leading to the switch off. Biologically, for many men, the constant absence or the transactional nature of sex, having it just enough to string you along and maintain the status quo, leads to chronic stress. You are living in a state of emotional ambiguity, which raises cortisol levels and actively suppresses your natural testosterone production. This isn't just a sad feeling. It's a direct hit to your male vitality and long-term health. Emotionally, when you realize you were trapped using a facade of desire, the blow to your dignity is immense. It breeds resentment and confusion. The most critical lesson here is there is nothing you can do to turn the switch back on if she is not internally motivated to fix her own personal problems. Your worth is not a function of her desire. In my 5 years of specializing in men's health, I've seen countless husbands driven to anxiety, depression, and physical sickness because they believe they are doing something wrong. They are chasing a constantly moving target, trying every piece of bad advice out there, reading sex manuals, going to therapy, learning new techniques. But here's the clinical observation. The man who was good enough to attract her in the first place is still the same good man. The problem is not his technique. It is a fundamental shift in his partner's motivation. I watched a patient, a high-performing CEO, break down because he couldn't understand why he was being punished with silence and withholding. His wife had him reading books, going to counseling, all to make it an ordeal. When he did what she asked, she would move the goalposts again. Well, I didn't mean it like that. This is what I call crazy making. It's a mechanism used to maintain control and deflect accountability. The most crucial takeaway for your health is this: Stop believing this is your problem to solve. This is your partner's self-development issue, and as long as you think you are the key to fixing her switch, you are stuck in a victim loop. Reclaiming your power means accepting that you cannot fix an issue rooted in someone else's lack of accountability. When the switch goes off, good men often react by increasing the very behaviors that unintentionally affirm the withdrawal. Here are the 5 mistakes that sacrifice your dignity and health. 5. Chasing the new you narrative and falling for false stories. The mistake. Your wife offers a myriad of excuses for the withdrawal. It's my relationship with my father. I have low self-esteem, or I've changed and I need sex to look different now. You, being a supportive husband, fall for these stories and try to adapt. Biologically, this puts you in a state of constant, desperate effort. You are forced to perform emotional labor, like reading relationship books, just to maintain the status quo. This elevates cortisol from the stress of performance anxiety and leads to mental burnout. Emotionally, you feel utterly confused because the problem magically appeared after commitment. By believing the excuses, you implicitly validate the idea that you, the good man, are somehow responsible for her past traumas or internal disarray. This is a massive hit to your dignity. Practically, you get 0 results. She moves the goalposts, proving that the stories were a deflection, not the truth. You lose faith in your own judgment and integrity. The next mistake turns you into a passive pawn in your own home. It's about how you use your money. 4. Allowing yourself to be reduced to the sperm donor financial provider. The mistake. You realize you are being strung along, maybe sex once a month, just enough to keep the peace and secure the financial arrangement. You accept this reduced role for the sake of stability. Biologically, this is profoundly emasculating. Your mind is receiving the signal that your identity has shrunk from desired husband, lover, to utility, which directly lowers mood and testosterone production. Chronic sadness becomes physical fatigue. Emotionally, you develop deep, gnawing resentment, not just toward your wife, but toward yourself for accepting such a diminished existence. You start equating your worth only with your bank account, which is toxic to your self-esteem. Practically, the wife learns that the occasional pity sex is enough to maintain the financial tap. This reinforces the transactional nature of the marriage, cementing the switch off. The third mistake is the most common self-deception that keeps good men miserable. 3. The mental calendar trap, living for the next obligation. The mistake. You notice your partner operating on a mental calendar, calculating when she needs to initiate intimacy to buy another week or 2 of peace. You become hyper-aware of this, anticipating the chore. Biologically, this hypervigilance traps you in the sympathetic nervous system, fight or flight. Your mind anticipates the anxiety of when will the time run out, which inhibits genuine arousal and relaxation, making even the rare encounters feel forced and unpleasant. Emotionally, you feel like a beggar, not a lover. The act itself is tainted by the knowledge that it is not driven by passion, but by calculation. This kills the joy of intimacy for both of you, leading to further withdrawal. Practically, by accepting this routine, you are reinforcing the structure of the marriage as a low-grade emotional prison built on manipulation and debt. This next mistake is a silent betrayal of your integrity. 2. Withdrawing all physical affection as self-protection. The mistake. Because the switch is off, you stop initiating all forms of physical touch, hugs, hand-holding, casual affection, to prevent the painful rejection that might follow. Biologically, you cut off your own supply of oxytocin, the bonding hormone. This hormone is essential for male emotional regulation and stress reduction. You trade the risk of pain for the certainty of isolation, which makes you emotionally brittle and physically less resilient. Emotionally, by jerking away or avoiding touch, you become emotionally detached. While this is a defense mechanism, it creates a cold atmosphere that reinforces the distance, making reconciliation, if it ever comes, much harder. Practically, you miss opportunities to establish non-sexual connection, which, ironically, is the only thing that might lower her walls. You trade short-term pain avoidance for long-term emotional decay. The number one mistake is the ultimate failure of leadership for a good man. 1. Failing to take accountable action, waiting for her to change. The mistake. You understand the switch is off and it's her problem, but you take no constructive action to change your environment or set clear expectations. You wait passively for her to fix herself. Biologically, passivity is the enemy of testosterone. Your body rewards action, decisiveness, and self-advocacy. By waiting, you reinforce feelings of helplessness, leading to systemic inflammation and accelerated aging. Emotionally, this is the ultimate surrender. You are sacrificing the best years of your life to a fantasy that she will one day realize her mistake and flip the switch back on. You lose your right to complain because you chose inaction. Practically, you teach her that her choice to disengage has no significant consequence for the marriage's structure, thereby enabling her continued disinterest. A good man leads by defining reality and acting with integrity. Your job now is not to turn her switch back on. Your job is to reclaim your own vitality and dignity and decide, based on reality, how you want to live the rest of your life. 1. The intimacy statement. Define your needs, not her failures. The plan. Assertively communicate the reality of the situation, focused only on your needs and commitment to health. What to say calmly. I understand we are in a place of emotional distance, and that the lack of intimacy is severely impacting my happiness and health. I am no longer going to engage in the crazy-making excuses or the avoidance tactics. I value myself too much. I want a connected marriage, but if we cannot both commit to a path of repair, counseling, accountability, self-work, I need to know we are facing a different reality. I am choosing health and dignity for myself. The goal. You are defining the problem, lack of connection, and offering a clear choice, repair, or resolution, making it a shared responsibility, not your solo mission. 2. The 90-day physical self-vow. The plan. Commit 90 days to radical physical self-improvement to stabilize your hormones and confidence, independent of the marriage outcome. What to commit to? Intensive strength training, lifting heavy, to boost natural testosterone. Cut sugar and alcohol to lower inflammation and cortisol. Ensure you get 8 hours of quality sleep to repair your system. The biological impact. This shifts your focus from external validation to internal strength. You become physically resilient, mentally sharper, and hormonally balanced. This confidence is the only true game changer for your life. 3. The non-negotiable self-respect boundary. The plan. Decide what level of non-sexual disrespect, gaslighting, emotional manipulation, cruelty you will not tolerate, and communicate that boundary by action, not just words. What to do? If she begins using excuses or manipulative language, calmly state, I hear you, but I will not participate in a conversation based on blame or deflection. We can talk when we are ready to discuss solutions. Then disengage and focus on your self-vow. Go for a walk, hit the gym. The emotional impact. You instantly reclaim your power. You stop the erosion of your dignity and teach both your mind and her mind that you are a man of consequence who values his own peace. Good men, you were not wrong to be a man of commitment. You were not wrong to value connection. Your worth is fixed and unchangeable. The experience of the off switch can be a painful awakening, but it is also an opportunity for profound growth. Remember, age is not the reason for your decline in vitality. It is the perfect time to choose health, self-respect, and freedom from emotional games. You deserve comfort, honesty, and a future built on confidence. Stop waiting for her to flip the switch. Start flipping your own switch